Dave here with Half Dozen Customs. I just measured out the new crossbar. I measured it from the front of the frame rail on each side. We're even on both sides. So I am ready to tack our center core support mount to our new bar. Then we can take the front end back apart and take that bar out. And we need to make some new side pieces for our core support mount, because we cut them off on the old one. It was real bent up, so we're just gonna make some new ones. But I gotta get it welded in place before we can go any farther. So I'm just gonna put a couple tacks on each side. More than a tack, I'm gonna put a good size tack on each side. Yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, so here's what we have. So I want to make a couple pieces that extend out to this of some sort so that we can run it back to the end. So yeah, let's see what we can do. I want to see how close I have this to. Pretty good. I think we're good there. I just kind of eyeballed this guy, but it looked like it measured out. There's 2 5/8 on each side. We're good to go. So, got a soda box so we can make a template. So let's see what we can make here. That'll look good. Wax and grease remover to remove the oils that they put on the metal. But you know, from the metal supply store, there's some kind of oil on it so that it doesn't, you know, rust before you get it. And if you don't clean that off, it will ruin your magic marker. And I just grabbed this. It's a brand new marker, so I don't want to ruin it right off the bat. There's our two sides. Now our hour long of cutting to get them out. These are Harbor Freight's new. They're mid-grade ones. They're, I don't know, 20 bucks, I want to say. Somewhere right around there. So far, I've got, this will be number 3, and I haven't had no problems with them yet. I use them for various different things. The other two are grinders. I'm going to turn this one into a whiz wheel, I guess. So my other grinder or cutoff wheel that I normally use, it's starting to die. For one, on their old style ones, this thing that's inside here that holds the inside of the head together came loose on it, and once those old ones or cheapy ones, once that comes loose, like, its days are numbered. So it came loose on me, and I tightened it back up. And I used a chisel to bend the sides of the heads in so that it couldn't come loose on me again. And so far it's been holding up, but it's old. And like I said, once that comes loose, like, its days are numbered. So I just picked up a new one of these last time I was at Harbor Freight because I knew its days were numbered. And when I was using it last night, I actually went through 2 cutoff blades really fast. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I squeezed the trigger and looked at it, and I could tell that this arbor piece that I just put in there that holds the whiz wheel blade was bent. It has a wobble to it. So I could have just changed it out. And moved on, but hey, I got a new tool, I might as well use it. Especially since we're going to be cutting this 1/8 inch thick steel. Maybe a new tool will do a little better. I know that my other one that I told you is on its last leg, freezing up a lot on me and not wanting to cut the greatest. Put a couple drips of oil in this new guy. Get my safety specs. Alright, I think we're gonna let these cool off for a few minutes. They're super hot. But I think what I want to do is I want to put some speed holes in them, just to make them look nice. So once they cool off, we'll get it figured out of what we're gonna do as far as speed holes, because so you know this piece goes on here somewhere or whatnot, and if I drill speed holes in this one and I don't do anything with that, then you're just gonna see the backing of this guy. So we got to drill whatever we drill in here, we got to drill in there as well, and we got to make sure that they line up well. So but I think you know, some speed holes or lightning holes, whatever you guys want to call them. Some people call them speed holes, some people call them lightning holes. It's just a little extra added flavor. So you know, make it look just a little bit nicer. So once these cool off, I'll be back and we will figure out our next step. I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. I let them cool down enough to where I can touch them. So I just drew out some random holes. Nothing's really measured out. I just put the biggest one here at the peak, and then we'll do 2 medium ones, a smaller one, smaller one, smaller one. So, and then I just kind of drew a straight line randomly through my circles. We'll use the straight line as the centering of the holes. Like I said, I just randomly put this on. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So for the big one, we'll use a hole saw. For the 2 below that, we'll probably also use a hole saw. And then the other ones we'll just use a drill bit. And once we get this figured out, we'll figure out the other piece. This guy for the next one. Knuckle. Alright. That came out pretty quick. So, up real quick. Burr them. So, do I attempt to drill them? Of course, these here, I'm just going to have to use a reamer and ream that out. But the other ones, do I just drill them on here with a hand drill? Or do I cut this off? Could I even get a hand drill in there? I guess it is a question. Go back over here and see. Hey. Chill out, y'all. No, just sit. Start with the small pilot hole in the middle of them all. I know I should be putting I'm marking it with a punch. We'll do that on the other side. My favorite tool. This thing gets metal shavings everywhere. Alright, let's try and knock a center punch this time. One more side. So these drill bits that I use, I see a lot of YouTubers talking about what kind of drill bits that they use, and you know, a lot of them mention that, hey, you want a good set of drill bits, you need to spend $200. These are from Menards. They come in this pack, comes in this case with multiple drill bits. By Tool Shop, 230 Tool Shop, 230 piece titanium drill bit set. That set is like $30, I want to say, 30 or 40 bucks. They're the best drill bits I've ever owned. Now, I've never bought no $200 set of drill bits. But these things they're awesome. I've had lots of drill bits. These things are great and they last forever. And I mean, if you do burn them out, they're only 30 or 40 bucks for a 230 piece set. They used to have them, it used to come in a bigger case, and I think they were like 300 piece, and then they disappeared, and I was so disappointed, and they were gone for a couple years. And now they're back, and they're in a new case, and I think it's a little bit smaller of a set, but still the same price, and they work great. As soon as I seen they were back, I was like, woohoo, and I bought another case. I should go there and buy a couple more just in case they disappear again. I've probably had that drill bit set. Man, I've probably had it at least 3 or 4 years now. Now, I broke a couple, don't get me wrong, but I usually break them before they wear out. I mean, you just seen me smoke this one with the drill press, and she's still cutting awesomely. If my drill would hold on to the bit. It's one thing that sucks about these, drills that are hand tight instead of with the tightener thing, a key, a chuck. These bits, on the other hand, these are off the Macro truck. The best I've ever owned. If I ever buy new ones, I don't know that I'll get them off the Macro truck. I try and stay off those things. But my buddy that owns the Jeep, well, for the time being, he has a Macro guy. So every time I break something, he gets it replaced for me. Alright, I think we're good enough. Now, let's see if we can get this guy welded back on in the same spot. Guess while I have him off, I should clean this metal up here. Oh, broke off inside there. Because it seems like I'm just standing right in the way. Gotta make sure you clean that black, whatever that is, off there, because welds don't penetrate it. Alright, got it welded in. Should be good and strong. It's got some nice little welds. I think she looks good. I'm happy with it. We're back out here on the cross member for the cord support. Got a couple of spots in these holes that I just want to clean up with the reamer real quick, and then we're gonna DA this thing out and get it painted. Reason being is because this is nice fresh metal, I don't want to PR15 it. We sandblasted this piece, so it can be sprayed with some 2-in-1. I'm just going to rattle can it black. The rest of the frame's getting PR15 gloss black. We'll hit this with gloss black. I'll clean up where we're going to weld when it's time to weld it in. But for right now, I'm going to hit hit these couple of holes that I need to clean up. There's not much, mainly these big ones. There's just a little bit overhang. So we'll get that cleaned up and then EA down, we'll spray it, and then it'll sit overnight. I'll have to flip it over in the morning. We'll spray the other side, and then that'll sit throughout the day tomorrow and dry. And then I think in the meantime, in between stuff, there's a trans mount that needs to be built. So we may get started on that trans mount and start figuring that out and figuring out what we need to do and get that built. So let's get to it. Alright, we DA'd it down with some 80 grit. Now I'm gonna wipe it down with some lacquer thinner. The reason I'm using lacquer thinner is because of this coating that they put on here. I mean, I understand that they put that coating on there so that it doesn't rust, but I hate that stuff, man. It does not like to come off. And you can't just paint over it, and yeah, I just don't like it. So I figured lacquer thinner is a little bit of a harsher clean than just some wax and grease remover. Yeah, we may be going to get some more of this tomorrow. I'll try and squeeze it. I guess as long as we get, you know, I don't want to put bare metal, you know, bare metal up against bare metal in there, so that, you know, it's the main reason why I'm getting this painted right now. So that way when we finally get it set in place, that there's not bare metal in the frame, because I won't be able to get in there once it's in the truck. So now I guess as long as that's, you know, I would say these end pieces are coated, and the bottom of it I think is the main concern, because that's where it's going to be sitting on the frame. And then, you know, it's always a little more difficult to spray paint upside down. A lot of times the can doesn't want to spray when it's upside down, so. But we'll let that dry and we'll come back, we'll get another coat on it. Alright, I think that's it for this. I got a little bit in it. Maybe we can get a coat on the top in the morning. Let's take a look underneath to see this trans mount. I've peeked under there once before and just kind of seen what he had going on, because he was gonna make this trans mount, and he got some of the stuff to do it, and then life got in the way. So since he's got two pieces here, I think what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll 45 and 45, or maybe it's vice versa, 45 and 45, and then we'll come down and over and back up. So yeah, the 45s will be this way. So let's get a tape measure, my square magic marker, and we'll measure something out under here and get some marks here. So let's see. How long is this thing? Let's get the jack over here and make sure that, see if we can even, you know, get the jack to move up any, or the trans to move up any, because, you know, we're gonna have to, it's got to go up high enough for us to slide the bar underneath. Is that what we want to do? So I don't think, because this motor it's not on rubber bushings, it is straight just hard mounted. We can't jack the trans up to like the floor, because we're fighting the motor mounts. If I keep jacking up any higher, if we keep jacking up any higher, I'm gonna start bending stuff up front. So how can I make this? Alright, so I think I'm gonna do something a little different than what I had planned. I'm not gonna cut that bar. I'm not gonna cut that bar and 45 it down. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build something. We're gonna make something like this. We'll just make something like this that mounts on that bar, and then that way you can tilt that bar up in the frame like this to slide it underneath the bolt and drop it down, and then you can bolt it in on either end and bolt it in the middle. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So sorry, I didn't mean to just block you guys there. I was trying to turn off the light. I'll be right back. Let me see what we can find for some metal, and get that cut and make one of those pieces. I'll be right back. Alright, so this is the piece that we made the core support cross member with. And this is what I'm gonna attempt to make the bracket out of. So I measured it, I think 5.5 inches will give us enough room. So let's hope I can make this work, because I hate to waste good metal. These bars out that came back with the truck, we just had them stacked underneath, sitting from frame rail to frame rail, and the transmission was sitting on it. Last night I think we left off with I was going to put the wheels back on and get the Jeep sitting back at a ride height so that we could find the degree of the motor. And then my buddy who owns the Jeep stopped by, and we kind of did that together. So looking up on try5chevy.com, they say that typically an LS motor should be at 5.5. For the C4 Vet, clearance issues for the power steering rack, they do 5. So I figure as long as we're somewhere between 5 and 5.5, we'll be okay. So, and it looks like I'm probably at 5.5 right there. So I think we're good there. And then while he was here, we stripped all the dashboard apart, pulled the ignition out and the speedometer and all the wiring and everything like that. So we got that all ripped apart last night. And so after he left, I just real quickly, with the motor sitting at the 5.5, I just took, this is just a piece of steel rod. It's almost like a coat hanger, but I had a real long piece, straight piece of it that was actually here in the shop when I moved in, so I just kind of stuck it in the corner. I've used, it was really long. We used this to kind of get an idea of what radiator hoses we needed. We went from the center of the bung on the radiator to the center of the bung on the water pump, and we kind of bent it into the shape that we felt we needed, and my buddy took that with him, and he's trying to locate some radiator hoses. So far I know that he went to Napa and they didn't have nothing, so I highly doubt anybody else is going to have anything. I think we're going to have to get some kind of radiator hose kit where it'll be like an elbow or a 45, and then the main section of it will be an aluminum tube. So I think that's the route we're probably going to end up going with that. But anyways, I grabbed what was left of it, and I just kind of bent up a rough idea of what I was looking for under the trans as far as the trans mount goes. So I used my angle finder here. This is a digital angle finder. I think it's just off of Amazon. So I used this to find the angle. Of course, course it's zeroed out now because I let it shut off. So I just kind of found the angle of this, which we ended up going with 65. Or thereabouts. So, you know, I basically just found the angle that I kind of had bent up, and then I transferred that angle to our bar here. So I'm gonna cut those now, and then, you know, we roughly got to come down. It's like 2 3/4 of an inch before we come back over. So I'm gonna get these cut right now, and then we will figure out our down slopes, and then we'll figure out our center bar. So, and this bar, so like I said, this came back with the truck when they had the LS motor in there, and I don't know if these were just pieces that he grabbed. He has a hookup over at the local metal shop, and they sometimes let him grab scrap metal over there. So I'm not sure if this is just stuff that he grabbed out of the scrap pile, or if he cut this to the size that it is. But it's probably like 3/4 of an inch on each side short of going all the way to the inside ends of the frame. So I think we can, when we cut all this out and we build the lower drop down section, we can actually get that little, like, I think it needs like another inch to inch and a half lengthwise, just so that when we drill the hole in the end to put the bolt through to the frame, that we're not like right on the edge of this piece. So I would like for us to, you know, have a little meat on the bones at the end there. So, and the way that it was looking was we were going to be right on the end, which I'm sure would have been fine, but, you know, if we can get a little extra out of it, I'd like to. I was wondering where the grease was coming from. Every time I touched this thing, I was getting grease all over me. I was like, why? It's like a brand new piece of metal. Apparently there was grease inside the frame where he hit it. Alright, so I'm going to drag out the chop box again. We had it out last night, but I cleaned up before I went in. I try and clean up after. Oh, come on. So I used to just clean up in the morning when I came out, but then it was, you know, I was taking a couple hours out of every day. When I'd get up in the morning, you know, I'd spend, I don't know, an hour or so, you know, walking around, cleaning up, farting around. Now that I clean up at night before I go in, I can just come out here and fart around instead of having to clean up. So, all right, so now I got, it's nice that this thing shuts off on itself, but so you wait for a couple minutes and you lose your angle. So we got a we gotta get this guy to match my angle finder here. And I'm not sure that it will. I don't think this thing goes past 45. We might be in trouble. Alright, here goes nothing. Gotta try and mark it up as well as possible with whatever angles I can find, because this chop box is very old and I don't think it's as precise as it used to be. And with new, and I don't think that it was very precise when I got it, because it was a floor model and it was kind of beat up. But I got it for a good price. Now, it would be nice if we could just use this bottom piece, but I think we're probably going to have to shorten it up. Yeah, see, we're at 65 right there. So I need to call out 2 3/4. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build what's here, and then we can just trim off the ends. Maybe. We'll think about it. So I don't want this thing boxed, like, I don't want it a box. I want these filler pieces that we're about to do here on an angle. So, and from my little bar that we bent up last night, I know that I wanted it 2 3/4. Measure 5 times, cut once. I'll probably still screw it up. It'd probably cut a little better if I moved the whole slide unit forward some. Different size metals, like where it's sitting right now, the big stuff cuts through it no problem. But the littler stuff, I should probably move it forward some. Well, not probably, I should. That's why it takes a little longer to cut. And I don't like forcing this thing, because these stone blades like this, they'll, if you push too hard, they'll warp, and then you don't get a straight cut. You know, the blade itself will bend. You know, so instead of being straight, the blade will do this, because you're pushing too hard, and then you don't get a straight cut. Touch it. Super hot. I still got more edges to clean up. I didn't clean up either one of these, so they're not sitting on the table flat or right. But let's just... Pretty darn close, I'd say. Maybe clean up the rest of these edges. I think it'll be right there. And like I said, this is just a rough estimate. I took a bunch of measurements under there, and I just try and get it close. We'll bevel all these edges real nice before we do any welding. I think we're close enough with that. And then, you know, we're gonna cut this on an angle on both sides. And then we're gonna, you know, we're gonna make it match the front one that I just did for the core support that we did all the speed holes in. So I'm gonna, you know, cut this out and make that match. It ain't gonna get super big speed holes in there, but we'll drill a couple of smaller speed holes in there so that it at least matches what we did in the front. So just trying to decide if I want to about 3 inches on either side. You know, do I want to shorten this guy up? Do I want to take an inch off each side? You know, instead of taking it out of here and having this so big. But I think I'm okay with that. I mean, we're gonna put, you know, this will be the trans mount that gets mounted to it. You know, that gives us a few inches of adjustment, I guess, if we need. You know, you guys may be looking at all this and you're like, oh man, one bar over here is way longer than the other bar over here. If you recall last night, me saying that because all the steering, so all the steering's right here and the header's got to go through there, so the whole motor, I mean, it may not look like it. It still looks like it's pretty, you know, pretty centered in the firewall here, but the motor is actually that way, like an inch, I believe. At least the transmission. So here was my marks last night from the measurement that I took. That was center of this bar before we cut it, and that's where the trans mount was. So, you know, it's about an inch over to one side. So that's why this bar is longer than that bar, because I made the trans mount to fit the transmission, not the opening of the frame. Okay, so we gotta make a duplicate of him. Just so you guys know, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just wing it. I've never done metal fabrication before, ever. seriously though, I do not claim to be an expert. Try my best. I'm always learning. YouTube is a huge help with learning. You know, people like Carl Fisher and Bennett's Customs, Cornfield Customs, like watching those guys work makes me strive to do better. And I learned so much stuff from watching their videos. Alright, so I think that's it. That's going to be our trans mount. So I think next what we'll do is I'm gonna put a couple of brain cells into this piece and see what I can come up with. You know, I wanted to match, you know, this guy in here, not size wise, but you know, basic looks wise. Like I'm not gonna try and notch across the front here. I don't think I'm gonna cut a piece of it in the front and weld it in. Maybe I will, but I don't think so. I think we're good with just a flat thing and then angle down, weld it up to the bottom of the thing or on top of it, or you know, split the difference. You know, we'll figure it out once we get it underneath there. But I can at least get the design going. So give me a couple minutes to kind of draw something up and take a couple measurements and see how things are fitting, and we'll go from there. I'll be back. You guys need a new battery anyways. Okay, so I kind of drew out what I'm thinking. You know, we'll have a beveled curved edge here. We'll have a beveled curved edge here. You know, we'll do some speed holes in it. Not gonna do the speed holes right off the bat because you know, we may end up, it may not need to be this long. So, you know, we may end up with it, you know, being this long and then bevel the edge there. This edge, you know, we may notch this out here so that it sits down on top of that. And then that way we're not just welded, you know, one weld here and a weld across the bottom. It would actually be notched out, and then, you know, you have a weld here and then down and around the bottom and then back over for a lot stronger of a setup. So, you know, and that's what I'm thinking. So we'll decide, you know, once we get this cut out to what I'm thinking, we'll bevel all the edges on everything and we'll kind of tack this together. And then I got underneath the truck and I measured. So this from end to end is 40 inches. And our frame is roughly, I just kind of did a guesstimate. I went from the inside of the frame on one side to, you know, the bottom outside edge. And we're roughly about 39 inches. So I'm thinking once this is all put together, we'll take a proper measurement. Right now, like I said, just a rough estimate, we're 1 inch off, which is good because before it was like 1 inch to 1.5 inches too short. So now we're 1 inch too long. So that's what I wanted. So now we can take a 1/2 inch off of each side, and then it should fit snugly into the frame rails. So we may have to take like maybe 3/4 of an inch off each side, because there needs to be some room. You know, if we're too snug, when we go to put it in there, like it's gonna get stuck before we get it level in there. You know, we'll probably start with a 1/2 inch on each side, see if we can get it in there. If not, then we'll take, you know, a 1/4 inch off each side, and then that should be enough for us to sneak it in there. I want it to be a tight fit. I want the holes that, you know, when we drill the holes, I want the hole in the middle of the frame, so we're not out near the outside edge where it could get weak and rip out of the frame. So I want the hole in the middle of the frame. So, you know, hopefully the hole will be at least 1 inch in here, instead of before where it was cut, like it would have been right on the outside of the edge, making a weak spot. You know, we're going to be running, you know, not a lot of horsepower in this thing, but, you know, it's enough that we need to make sure that everything's put together properly. So, you know, I want the holes in as far as we can get them. We'll end up, what we're going to end up doing is we will end up drilling a hole big enough to slide this pipe in there, and then we'll weld the pipe top and bottom, and then the bolt will go through the pipe, and it will actually tighten down on that pipe instead of tightening down on this. Because what could happen if we were to just drill a hole through there and drop a bolt through it, well, when you go to tighten it down, it's going to crush this pipe in the middle where the bolt is. It's going to crush it, and then it's going to create a weak spot, which will eventually loosen up, and then, you know, your trans mount can come loose. So, you know, we'll use nylon locking nuts on there so that they won't come loose, or we'll use something with some kind of locking bolt so that it won't come loose. Or, you know, worst case scenario, you put some thread locker on it. But if we put that pipe in there, it'll protect that from getting crushed. So, and then once we get that tacked together and we get it fitting in there, then I can hold this piece up and we can see where this needs to, because if we need any adjustment, it's going to be in this piece. Like, is this piece going to sit directly in the middle? Is it going to sit to the bottom? Is it going to sit to the top? Like, this piece we can move up and down to get our adjustment to keep us at that, you know, 5 degree to 5.5 degree mark. So, you know, just in case we were a little off in our measurements here, I can get it back in this, depending on where this gets welded in at. So let's, I'm gonna stop talking. If I didn't confuse you guys already, or confuse myself. Where's my tape? It's probably with my safety glasses. I'm gonna make a duplicate of this, mark it out here with some tape, and we'll flip it to the other side, or some kind of stencil. Maybe tape isn't the best thing because it's not gonna be sticky on the other side. Let me see if I can find a piece of cardboard. I just burned everything. Let me go in the house and steal a piece of a Pepsi box. All right. So I got a piece of cardboard so we can make this template. Whenever you're making something like this, always make sure that you're getting rid of the weld. You guys can see there's a weld in this pipe where it gets welded. And you don't want to use that end. Use the end that's not welded. That weld, not that it would fail, but if it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail there. So if you don't use that piece, you got a fail spot. I don't know if you heard what I said as I was walking and talking, but the reason that you want to get rid of that weld is because that's if it was going to fail, that is where it would fail. So okay, so got a mark on both sides, eliminating the weld. Let's go ahead and cut that out. I gotta put a new whiz wheel blade on my little wizard. Exhausted today. I don't know why. Slept good last night, but the night before last, we had storms all night. And my big, tough pickle that we have is scared to death of storms and fireworks and gunshots, and so she kept us up all night long. So I don't know if it's just leftover lack of sleep from the night before or what. But we had only gotten a couple hours of sleep the night before. Oh, it's in my hand. So I am just exhausted. My brain is not working. So earlier we were working with, this degree guy, and I was like, okay, we're at 65, and then I went down to the cutter and I was like, my cutter doesn't even go to 65. Well, I'm not good at math. I am, but I'm not. I didn't take algebra or advanced algebra. So, the 65 that we were at, you gotta subtract it from 90, which gives you 35, and that's our cut. That's why my machine didn't go down to that. Colleen actually came out and she, when I explained to her how I was doing it and whatnot, she kind of explained it, and I was like, oh, that's where the 35 came from. So maybe if my brain was working. So we're gonna try and stand you up so that you can see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna bevel the edges on these pieces so that we can get a good weld. Okay, so I put roughly about 45 in there. It's got degrees on there. I didn't really pay much attention to what exact degree it was, but I'm sure it was pretty close to 45. And now we have a nice channel to weld into, which serves two purposes. For one, it allows your weld to lay a little flatter because you're not welding on top of the metal. You're actually welding inside of it. So for me, it makes for a nicer weld because the weld can kind of level it out in there. The main purpose that you do that for, should have probably started with the main reason. It makes for a stronger weld because it's allowing them to penetrate all the way through it. Especially if you have a weaker welder. You know, my welder's a decent welder. I'm not complaining about it at all. I do a lot, but it's a decent welder. It gets good penetration, but it's only a 110. If you want full penetration, that's what she said, you gotta have a 220 welder. So I don't think that these are going to have the angle that I need on them. Have the angle that I want, but I guess it can serve the purpose of holding the metal still. Around. We need to clean the inside of it. Get rid of that cutting slag, I guess we call it. I don't know what people call it. What it is it's a spot where rust will start. don't always hit my magnets with the grinder, but when I do, it's because I welded into the magnet and melted it, and it was hanging over the edge, not allowing it to sit flat. Welder over here, I'm going to tacking a few spots. I swear, every time I go to use that welder, the wire speed is cranked all the way up on it. Because of the welds I just put on there. But I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure that, like I said, we got to cut some of this down a little bit, but I'm just going to go hold it up underneath there and see if we're close. Okay. Yes, we are close. This top weld here. I'm going to beat him back out. That's the one that the wire speed was cranked way up on. I think we're pretty good, you know, minus, like I said, I think we're going to start with a 1/2 inch on each side, and the frame actually tapers, so, you know, my 1/2 inch, if I take a 1/2 inch on each side, that should get us to where we need to go. I can stick it in the frame rails farther back and then just slide it forward. So I think we're good. I'm gonna weld. I think we'll weld the sides right now, and then we'll cut it. I don't want to go to cut it and have my welds break. So alright, we'll let that cool off and then we'll be back. Alright, so we're back. I got this thing propped up level, and we got a 1/2 inch marked out on it. I'm going to take the 1/2 inch out and then we'll go test fit it underneath the truck. If I plugged it in. Ooh, that funk. My leg just broke on the stand on the little tripod guy. I always got to glue it back together. See? I'll be back. Alright, we'll see how long that leg lasts. I just messaged Colleen, told her to order a new one. I want the one that is magnetized actually, instead of the little tripod guy. But I had been super gluing it, like right after we got it, the leg came off. So I super glued it in place. And there was a little hole in there that the metal rod sticks in, so I just dropped some super glue in there and stuck the metal rod back in. And it's been fine for, I don't know, the last 9 months. And then the other day, I was working on the other side of the shop and the leg came off again, so I re-super glued it. And now it came off a third time, and when I went to super glue it back in, the hole that the rod was going into just crumbled and fell apart. So this time I filled it with UV resin and then stuck the leg in there, and then UV resined all the way around the leg. So we'll see. I don't think it's gonna last, but we shall see. So we cut that 1/2 inch off. I am going to just clean up these edges real quick so that it sits flat in the frame when we go underneath there. And then we'll see how we're doing. I did notice too that, I don't know if you guys caught it in the video or not. If you did, when I welded everything together and we flipped it up like this end was sticking like a 1/2 inch off the table. So I just basically took it and smacked it on the table. Now we're laying nice and flat. So let's carefully take you guys with us. Try not to break your leg off. Let's see where we're at. So I think we're good there. We're basically, we're touching the frame on the front of both sides. Like I said, it was angled. You know, I know the frame it gets skinnier as it goes to the front. So we got like a 1/4 inch gap at the back and it's touching in the front. I'm okay with that. I wasn't gonna try and figure out that angle. So I think we're good here now. So I think what we need to do, I think we're good here. I think I'm gonna weld this guy up solid because I think we're good. The trans looks pretty centered in here, so I'm happy with that. You know, just a quick eyeball, it looks good to me. So I think we can weld it solid, and then we will start working on that other piece and figure out. I think I might have to, because this is in my way of making that other piece. So I think we're gonna have to figure out a way to actually, let's weld it first. I think we'll have to figure out a better way of holding the trans where I need it, so that I can work on that brace. Okay, we're back on the GoPro. Got it all downloaded. Got everything all welded up. I'm gonna clean up these welds a little bit with the grinder. Normally I don't do that because I want to keep the strength of them. But there's a couple that I'm just not happy with. So we'll just clean them up a little bit. The sides I think I'm going to smooth out, and we'll keep the tops and bottoms for strength. Let's get underneath here and check this out. So I think the short end goes over there, and then goes over here. Now let's see where we're at here. I will measure this before it gets like bolted in. So I think what we need to do now is we need to put a slot in here so that we can actually get this thing to accept this stud here. And then we can figure out which way do we want to do it. Do we want to do it this way, or do we want to do it this way? We shall see. So let me grab a magic marker and see if we can put a little mark on there where I think the stud is. Oh, there's my safety glasses. They're sitting under here. I was telling Colleen I remember dropping them under here, but I cleaned up. I thought I grabbed them. Okay, well, there. My second pair goes with those now. So when I'm looking for them, make sure you tell me that they're both under the truck. Okay. Sorry, not trying to get in your way. Somewhere right in there. Okay. Now we'll center that out, and we're gonna notch it. So let's see. Grab my safety glasses. Grab you guys. So I think I'm gonna oval it out about like so. Of course we'll punch it, try and get it centered. Bam bam in. Bam bam. Woo! Hold on to that thing, would ya? Freaking take an eye out. leg did not hold. Tape your leg on. Well, so I think that we can take, you know, maybe an inch off of this, off of the front, just so that it's not like sticking way out there. And then, so I think I want it sitting like this. Then we can notch out the top a little bit here and get it to drop up into the pipe there. And then, you know, we'll have a good strong weld going all the way across. We'll round these edges off. We'll round these edges off. And then we'll see if we have room for a couple speed holes. So I should have brought my marker. Okay. So I think we can take so off. And then try and center this bolt hole. So I will notch it out like so. Let's start with that and see how we do. Come on, guys. Follow me. Alright, so let's start with this guy. Those edges rounded up, got these edges rounded up. She's looking good. Just ran those on the belt sander. I know I didn't bring you with me, but I'm sure you could hear it. Oh, it's broken now. All right, let's go see if my guesstimates were right. I went up with the trans a little bit. Let me go check, see what degree we're at. We're still like just at 5, maybe a little below. Maybe we'll come down just a hair. Oh, that might have been a hair too much. So I think we'll be good right there. I should have brought my marker again. Need the freaking thing around my neck, yes. Okay. I'm gonna scoot you guys over some. Hey. You guys need a little. Learn to stand on your own 3 feet here. Alright, so we got our marks on there. I would have liked for these tabs here to be a little bit longer, but we'll be okay. I'll weld it inside and outside. We'll be good to go. Gotta make sure you get all that black off of there, because you can't weld through that stuff. I beveled all the edges so that we can get a nice weld. Done enough testing with this thing. I think we're good to go. Stop there, but ooh, man, I was getting hot. Alright, I'm gonna let this cool off. And we'll be back to we'll drill a couple of speed holes in there, make it match the front one, and then after that we have to we gotta figure out where it's gonna sit in the frame, and we gotta drill some holes in the frame. Then once the holes are drilled in the frame, then we can mark this bar, and we'll drill the bar and put the piece of pipe through it, weld that in, and then after that it's ready for a sanding and some paint. So came out nice, looks good. Good strong welds in there. And confident that those will not go nowhere. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so kind of ran around everything with a wire wheel and cleaned up all the soot from welding. Cleaned up the edges in here on both sides. Now we're gonna mark these out. We're gonna put a couple of little speed holes in there. So let's mark mark something out. Just kind of eyeball it like I did last time. So I just eyeballed the center. Get my little bam bam. All right, we're just gonna do three holes. I'm gonna do a pilot through all three, and then the middle one will go up a little bit bigger than the pilot, and then a little bit bigger on the next one. Just gonna use drill bits, and that'll be it. No hole saws today. Maybe we'll go up one size bigger than the pilot holes on all three of them, but there's not a whole lot of room here, so I don't want to drill too big holes. All right, got some go fast holes now. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna get underneath and find out where we need to put the holes in the frame. We'll be back. We're gonna try and get this trans mount wrapped up today. We left off last night. I had explained that I put it in the truck, you know, just sitting in there. It doesn't have any bolt holes or anything. I bolted it up to the trans, and I started letting the weight off of the trans, and because it has this tongue out here now, it was front heavy, I guess, and it started to tip, you know, from sitting flat on the frame, it started to tip up, which, you know, it was in the back of my head that might happen, and I knew that it wasn't going to be bolted down. But then I started thinking, like, you know, if just the weight of the trans alone is wanting to tip that thing forward, what's it going to do to two single bolts on each side when it's under torque? So I started thinking that maybe my original plan wasn't the strongest plan. So I started thinking last night of, you know, making some tabs like so, and we'll weld them underneath like so, you know, we'll weld it up, and then you can put a bolt on either side, and we can still do the bolt through the center if we want. I think we will. So it'll have 3 bolts on each side holding it, and it'll be way stronger. So I started first with making that tab, and then I was like, nope, that's too small. You know, we'd end up having to put little bolts in it, and I would like to have a decent sized bolt in there. So then I made this one, and you can see that it is not symmetrical, and I was just tired and I was beat, and I was like, okay, before I start messing stuff up, you know, I can't even make it symmetrical. That one I did, I think, okay on, but this one, not so much. So I was like, if I can't even, you know, cut a piece of cardboard straight, I'm not gonna attempt to cut it out of metal. So so I cleaned up in the shop a little bit this morning. I just left it a mess last night. Like I said, I was tired. So this one wasn't symmetrical, but I liked the size of it, and I liked the way that it looked. This side gave us a little more meat for a bolt to go through. So I pretty much just traced half of it, and then I flipped it over and I traced the other half. So now we got 2 symmetrical pieces, and we'll get them cut out, then, you know, I'll clamp them together. We'll run them through on the belt saw or the belt sander, and, you know, make them match. And then we'll weld them on there. I left the welder out so that we can do that. And then we can bolt it back in. I'll probably just leave the jack under, holding the trans up so that we don't have a bunch of weight on it, but we'll bolt it back in. We'll measure, there's a factory cross member that's like a foot behind this one. That's just a frame cross member. So we'll measure from that one to this one and make sure that they're square on both sides. And then we'll mark out for our holes. Like I said, I'm gonna drill the frame first, and then we'll set this piece back in, and we'll mark our holes with the magic marker through the holes that we drilled in the frame, and then we'll work on getting these drilled out. Now the center one, I think it's a good idea that we still put that in. Like I said, I'd like to drill a hole all the way through this, put a pipe in there and weld it up, so that way we're not crushing the tube when we tighten it. So yeah, there's still, you know, there's still probably a few hours worth of work to do. So let's hurry up and get it done. I think I figured, I was out here like 8.5 hours yesterday working on this, and I took a lunch break and I hung out with Colleen for a little bit, and you know, I took a couple breaks in between, so I knocked a couple hours off. So, you know, I think I got like 6.5 hours into this thing already, which just, I don't know. I know it's custom and, you know, it's something that's got to be made, but I don't know. To me, it just kind of seems like maybe it should have took a few hours, not 6.5, and we're not even done yet. So, but I guess that's just part of it when you got to figure it out. And, you know, being a person like me, I'm kind of particular and making sure everything's done right and measured 10 times before I cut once, because, you know, this, I was only given so much metal to build it. If I would have screwed it up the first time, I was done. I couldn't screw it up the first time, so got to get it right. Alright, got them cut out, got them clamped together. Let's go over here to the belt sander. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good here. And we grinded them together so both sides should match. So, that's what I'm thinking. So instead of it just focusing on, you know, 2 inches, it's now focused on 5. I think that'll be much stronger. So I was just thinking, so, you know, I made some center marks. As long as we're butted up with that edge and we're on our center mark, we're good to go. But if you remember, I have told you that as the frame gets to the front, it tapers. So if we put these on just flat and straight, I don't think that they're gonna line up. So I think that we actually need to maybe angle it just a hair. So now if you remember when we were underneath there, I don't know if I pointed it out to you guys, but I had told you that at the front of the bar it was touching, and at the back of the bar there was probably a 1/4 inch gap. So it's quite the taper that it has. But I think, so I moved our center line here off a 1/4 of an inch, keeping us touching here. This would be the front, but we're hanging over probably an 1/8 inch back there. Same thing here. No, I did that one. Right? Did I do that right? Yeah, so I did it right. So I think I'll tack it in place right there, and we will go check it and make sure that it still fits, and then we'll weld it up solid. Okay, so you guys died. You guys didn't miss much. One thing that you guys missed was I had the tabs. You know, I had them angled. I had them angled the wrong way. You guys didn't tell me. I did catch it before it left the table. So I just cut the tacks real quick, and just flipped it the other, you know, angled it the opposite direction. I tacked them in. I test fitted it underneath the Jeep. It's a nice tight fit, which is what I want. I don't want this thing, you know, loosely just sitting in there. So it was a nice tight fit. I had to jack the trans up a little bit to get it to go in, which is perfectly fine. So we are good to weld everything up. So let's do that. Giving me trouble. Okay, so I weld it up. It's good strong weld. That'll hold a few hundred horsepower at least. So I welded the ends here too. We'll have to grind those up so they don't interfere with installing it. Got good penetration. Looks like we got a little better penetration on that side than we did on this side, but definitely still some good penetration there. So, you know, that's not bad for a little 110 welder. I mean, if you see that it's melting the metal on the other side of 1/8 inch thick steel, you know, it's a decent little welder. So, you know, whoever says that you can't build cars with the 110, I beg to differ. So, alright, well, we'll let this cool off. We'll be back for a little grinding and cleaning, and then we'll put it in and see if we can't get some holes marked out to drill up. So, we'll be back. Alright, so we're back. We let this thing cool down. It's still hot, but it's warm enough to touch. So, or cool enough to touch, I should say. So, on this end here, we need this to sit flat on the frame, and we need the ends to slide into the frame. So, I'm gonna knock this flat, we'll knock the ends flat, and then we'll wire wheel the rest. See what's going on over there. I don't know if we're hanging up on the side of the frame a little bit. Not quite sure what's going on. But I mean, we're in. It looks like I just gotta tap that side down. Just take a hair bit off. A bunch of crap in this frame. I think I need to clean it up. Maybe just knock those tabs down just a little bit. This side fits okay. That side though needs to come down some. We're close. Let me get my little bandana. Bam, bam. What I think we're setting on is the inside roll of the frame. So I think I just need to take a wee bit off. Wee bit off, and then clean up that frame a little bit, because there is just all types of junk and muck in there. As you can see, I just pulled a giant washer out. These holes here, I don't know if you guys can see them. So this hole here was the old trans mount, and they had a 2x2 that was cut off with the torch, and they had it bolted to the bottom of the frame, and it went all the way across. And that's what the trans sat on. So it was bolted to the bottom of the frame. We didn't want to do that this time. We wanted it tucked up inside the frame. For one, that makes it stronger. And for two, then, you know, it looks much nicer than having something hanging down below the frame. Like, this is going to hang down below the frame a little bit, but, you know, it's only a couple inches and it looks nice instead of having that one square. And me removing the other one is in a previous video, so you guys can go back and look at that previous video. And I had a hell of a time getting it off. Like, the one side was fine. I was able to get the one side off. But the other side, they had the hole drilled in the 2x2, like all the way up against the edge of the 2x2. I couldn't get a wrench on it to hold it, and it was spinning. I ended up having to cut part of the 2x2 out so that I could get to the bolt. It was a pain in the butt. It was just a poor setup. So now we got a nice setup. Let's just hang tight. I'm gonna clean up this edge a little bit and grab something to clean out that frame. This side's better. I don't think the other side's gonna be like that because the steering's right here, and it's, you know, it's one of those old steering things where, you know, you grease the heck out of it, and you gotta always grease the heck out of it. I gotta get under here and clean all this stuff up anyways, so that it can get PR 15. This will get sprayed down with engine degreaser and pressure washed, and we'll scrub it with wire wheels and lacquer thinner and whatnot. And let's just slide over here and take a look up in this one. So there was something there that it was sitting on. It looked like a weld. Not a weld, but a piece of welding slag that it was sitting on. Oh, you know what? No, I'm seeing it right now. It's a rivet from me knocking out the floor. Now we got a nice tight fit. So we're gonna measure, hoping that this is straight. So we're gonna measure from this to here on both sides, and make sure that we're straight. So you guys can see how much this is gonna suck. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me drill 6 holes. So I'm gonna shut you guys off, and I'll be back when all the holes are drilled. So the next thing, so we're gonna drill all these holes out, and then I'm gonna put the trans mount back in, and then we'll mark through these holes onto that guy. And that guy will do on the drill press, so he'll be much easier. So I'll see you when we got some holes drilled. Yay me! Okay, we're back. I don't even know how long that took. Probably at least an hour to drill all those holes. I ran through 3 batteries. I got a crick in my neck now. My wrist hurts, my shoulders hurt. Oh, woe is me. But we got everything marked out. All the holes are drilled. We're marked. So I'm gonna go see if Colleen can give me a hand, because there's no easy way for me to hold this thing on the drill press and be able to drill. So I think I'm gonna get her to come help hold up the one end while I work on the other end. So yeah, let me go talk to her and see if she wants to come give me a hand, and we'll be back. So I'm going a size bigger on these holes, just so that we have, you know, a little room to play, so we're not trying to fight to get bolts through or anything like that. Okay, now it's time to fit a pipe in there. So this one that I grabbed, no, it's not the right size. But when I checked it up against the hole saw, it looked good. But that was the smallest guy that I got, so it is what it is. I will check my scrap bin and look for a smaller pipe, and I'll be back. Okay, so after looking through my pipe selection that I have here, which isn't much, I have some stuff that fits the hole, but it's really thin walled, and it would be a huge bolt that goes through it. Which means I would probably have to ream the hole in the frame bigger, or put a washer with a smaller bolt through it, and then it's loose fitting. I don't like that. So I'm gonna stick with the original plan with the original pipe that I had. It's a thicker walled pipe, and it fits the size of the bolt that I want to use. So we're just gonna go for it, and I'm gonna weld the gap. So let's get it cut. I got one marked out. We'll get it cut to size. We'll get it tacked in, welded up, reamed out, drilled, whatever we gotta do to clean it up, because I'm gonna burn it in hot. So hopefully I'm gonna burn it in hot. So let's see what we got. I'm gonna cut first. Okay, here we go. Okay. It looks beautiful. Alright, you guys died while I was wire wheeling it, but we got that one all welded in. It's nice and pretty. We'll get her grinded up. Let's I'm gonna grind this one now so that it sits flat on the table. Okay, now we're almost done, and then it'll be time to clean up. Okay, come back over here since this side's had a little time to cool down. We'll grind him flat. This is the one that makes the most sense to be flat because it's where it's going to sit on the frame. You know what, on this side over here, I did reach inside the tube and put a little weld in there. Let's do that before I forget. Not that it needed it, but I don't know, it made me feel better being there. Just a little extra insurance. You know, all I did was just, you know, nice little weld in there just to make sure nothing moves. You know, even with that large gap that I welded up, I think because I just spotted, I didn't want to weld. I didn't want to weld like full throttle on it and have it just disintegrate the pipe. So, you know, you've seen that I spot welded it. I kept it hot, but because of that, you know, it didn't penetrate all the way through. I can see it in there when I look in there, but I think that little added extra doesn't hurt. So this whole thing's probably, you know, a little added extra just to make sure, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'd rather be safe and strong than sorry. So four matching guys. I plan on we gotta go up to Ace tomorrow to get a couple of things, and I plan on getting all brand new nuts and bolts and washers and all that stuff. So this is just temporary. Okay. Fingers crossed it all bolts in. Here we go. Where the heck's There we go. So it's gonna get much bigger bolts and hardware tomorrow. But for now, this is what I have. Like, I'm okay with these, but the size of the hole that I did, we can do a lot bigger. As long as everything lines up. Yay! All right. Ta-da! She looks beautiful. Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Or videos. I don't know. That took me a while to build. It may get put in more than one video. Who knows? But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I had fun making it, even though it took a long time. But I think it's a badass trans mount. It's strong. It's sturdy. I guess those are both the same thing. But yeah. Next thing is to get it painted. That's one of the things I gotta grab from Ace tomorrow, so maybe tomorrow we'll get some paint on it, and then the following day when it's nice and dry, you know what, it'll probably be a couple days. Tomorrow we're supposed to get tomorrow it's supposed to drop down to, it's storming out right now, or it was just a few minutes ago. It's supposed to drop down into the lower 30s, and we're supposed to get snow the next couple days. And then we should be on to spring after that. I think this is the last little bit of winter that we have, hopefully. So, but I don't want to paint if it's going to sit in 30 degrees. If I just wait 2 days, it'll be 60s and 70s. So we will, we'll get it painted here in the next couple days at least, and then get the proper hardware in there. But I'm out. Bye. We're back out here this evening on the Jeep, and we are going to finalize that piece. We're going to get it put in. So off camera, I just put the whole front end back together, remeasured everything. I had measured it before I took it apart, and I remember it being at 7 1/8. Then I kind of loosely set everything in there and set it up, and it was measuring 7 1/4, and I was like, was it 7 1/4 or 7 1/8? I could swear it was 7 1/8, but we were measuring 7 1/4. So I had to put the whole front end back together, every nut and bolt, tighten everything down, and I was right the first time. It was 7 1/8. So now we just took it all apart, and we're gonna clean everything up. You know, we gotta clean the edges here where it's gonna get welded into the frame, front and back. So I got a piece of metal in my hand. So we're gonna clean up front and back, each side, clean up the inside of the frame rail, put it in there, measure it to 7 1/8, and put it all welded in. love grinding up freshly painted stuff. That's the way it is. You know, I wanted to paint it first so that like the bottom side that's sitting on the frame and everything is protected. So, you know, some of it will get burned off with the welder, but if we can protect 90% of it, frame, I marked it, it's gotta go. So I'm just gonna use this guy to get in there and clean up the frame. We just did the trans mount. And back where we did the trans mount, the frame is a lot taller than it is up here, and I could barely get a grinder in there to clean up where I drilled. So there's no way we're getting a grinder up here. Okay, so I wasn't originally planning on welding the back because I don't know if I can get in there to get it. So my original plan was just to weld it at the front, and then, you know, we're capping off this frame, and it'll get welded all the way around, you know, with the new pieces that we're gonna make for the frame. So it'd be good and strong. I'm not worried about it. But I cleaned up the back as well because there's a little bit more room in there than I thought. I may be able to get in there and maybe just do a little bit. If I can, awesome. You know, anything's better than nothing, I think. But if it's nothing, and then it's something, I'm not really worried about it because it'll get welded in fully by the time we're done. One more time, make sure me breathing, didn't move nothing. 7 1/8. 7 1/8. Okay. I'm just gonna double check and we'll put weld on the other side. And double check. I think I'm going to turn up the wire speed a little bit. It's a big gap to fill. I went to weld the back and I noticed that it was up a little bit and it should be sitting flat. I checked it when I had it all bolted together and it was sitting flat. But when I went to weld, just kind of splattered there. It left a little ball of a weld underneath and was keeping me from clamping it all the way down. I was able to get the whole front welded and I don't know, maybe half the back. So we get the front all welded. Looks good on both sides. And then the back, I was able to get, I don't know, maybe half of it on both sides. So that's better than nothing. Problem was that I was running halfway through. I started running into this guy. I couldn't go any farther, so which I didn't think I was going to be able to get in there at all. So half inch or half the frame welded back there is good. Now we can come in probably tomorrow and we'll make some templates, you know, to go in here. I might have to decide on whether I'm going to go all the way to the front here or if we're gonna end, you know, in here. So the one that I took out, I don't recall exactly. I know it came down here into the front because we had to cut here to get it out, but I think it ended here and it just went down on an angle, if I remember correctly. So I think, you know, at the very least, we'll do the same thing. But if not, then we will run it all the way to the end. If we don't make it match, we'll run it all the way to the end. So, cool. Now I can cut this bar off. We can get that. I can get the Monte Carlo trunk bar out. So on the Monte Carlo, this bar used to hold up the trunk lid. And it was like that the entire time Colleen owned it. And I found it in there and I was like, man, that's a good piece of metal. So I haven't cut nothing off of it, but I've been using it on this truck. Like when we did the rocker, I welded it across the doors so nothing moved when I cut the rocker out. And now I used it here on this. So now I can get my bar back. Alright, well, that's it for this video. I just wanted to get that in and get that done tonight. We got the trans mount done earlier today. I still gotta get it painted and we gotta get the proper hardware in there, but it is in, it is done. Mine is being painted. That is in and done. Mine is being painted before. So tomorrow we're going up to Ace and I'm getting 2-in-1 so that I can paint that back brace. I explained that in the other video, the trans mount. So we'll wire wheel up these welds in here and I'll spray everything in there. so that what we grinded and welded is coated. And then we'll start making our side pieces. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night. Remember, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Thanks.